What if I told you that everything you think you are is just something you're trying to be? Right now, in this very moment, you're exhausting yourself maintaining an elaborate performance. The successful person who never fails, the spiritual person who never doubts, the good person who never feels anger, the strong person who never breaks. But beneath all this beautiful, exhausting theater of becoming, there's a question that terrifies and liberates in equal measure. What happens when you finally stop? When you drop the masks, release the grip, surrender the endless project of self-improvement? Who are you in that vast, pregnant space of absolute nothing? What if that nothingness isn't empty, but utterly, mysteriously full? Most people are terrified of this question because somewhere deep in their bones, they've confused their doing with their being. They believe the ancient lie that if they stop trying to be someone, anyone, they'll dissolve into no one, that they'll cease to matter, cease to exist in any meaningful way. But here's the secret that mystics and sages have whispered for millennia, what nobody tells you about true awakening. You don't find yourself by adding more spiritual practices, more achievements, more identities to your collection. You find yourself by the sacred art of subtraction, peeling away everything that was never actually you to begin with. I know this because I lived the great deception for decades. I built this magnificent, elaborate fortress of identity, the wise spiritual teacher who had transcended suffering, the healed person who had conquered trauma, the enlightened one who had it all beautifully figured out. My ego was a masterpiece of spiritual pride. And then life, in its ruthless compassion, became my teacher. Everything I had built my sense of self upon crumbled like sand castles before the tide. Career dissolved overnight. The relationship I thought was my soulmate connection ended in devastating betrayal. And even my most cherished spiritual beliefs, the very foundations of my teacher identity, revealed themselves as elegant constructions of the mind. And there, in that complete devastation, that absolute zero where nothing familiar remained, I encountered something I had been seeking my entire life, without knowing it. In that space, where all my identities had died, I finally met the one who had been wearing all those masks. I met myself, not as someone, but as the very awareness in which all someones appear and disappear. The emptiness wasn't empty. It was pregnant with everything I had ever truly been. See, we've been conditioned to believe that identity is what we add to ourselves, like collecting spiritual badges, accumulating achievements, or building impressive personas. But real identity, your authentic soul signature, isn't an addition at all. It's what remains luminous and unshakable when everything else falls away like autumn leaves. So let me ask you the questions that will either terrify your ego or liberate your soul, perhaps both. When you're not trying to be spiritual, when you're not performing enlightenment or collecting mystical experiences, what are you? When you're not trying to be successful, when you're not climbing ladders or proving your worth through achievement, what are you? When you're not trying to be loved, when you're not contorting yourself into shapes that might earn affection or approval, what are you? Feel how your ego panics at these questions. Feel how it scrambles to provide answers, to maintain its grip on the story of you. Because the ego is the trying. It's nothing but the constant, exhausting effort to become something other than what you are in this eternal now moment. But your true self, your essential nature, it doesn't try. It doesn't strive or struggle or seek. It simply is, like the sun doesn't try to shine, like your heart doesn't try to beat. Look at a tree, standing in perfect stillness. Is it trying to be a tree? Watch water flowing over stones, following the path of least resistance. Is it trying to be water? They are effortlessly, completely themselves, because they haven't forgotten their nature. They haven't been convinced they need to become something other than what they already are. You, beloved, are the same. Beneath all the trying, beneath all the becoming, you are already complete. You know what I discovered in that space of absolute zero? In that terrifying, beautiful void where all my identities had died? Pure aliveness. Not the manic excitement of getting something new or the dopamine rush of becoming someone important, but the quiet, unshakable aliveness of simply existing without apology or explanation. It was like discovering I had been holding my breath my entire life, and suddenly I could breathe. Not the shallow breathing of anxiety and striving, but the deep, natural rhythm of a being who belongs here, who has always belonged here. When you finally stop trying to be anything, spiritual, successful, lovable, even good, you discover the most shocking truth. You already are everything. Not everything is in some grandiose, I am God delusion. That's just the ego wearing spiritual robes. But everything, as in complete, whole, lacking absolutely nothing. You are the awareness that watches your thoughts without being disturbed by them. You are the stillness that remains present, whether life brings ecstasy or agony. You are the space in which all experiences arise and dissolve, untouched and undiminished. The paradox that will revolutionize your existence is this: the very moment you stop trying to be special, stop performing your uniqueness, stop collecting spiritual experiences like trophies, you realize how utterly extraordinary your ordinary existence actually is. Listen to me. You don't have to earn your worth through achievements. You don't have to prove your value through service. You don't have to become enlightened through practices. You already are the awareness that seeks enlightenment. You are not the wave trying to find the ocean. You are the ocean, dreaming you are a wave. Welcome home to yourself. Here's where this spiritual revelation becomes beautifully, mysteriously practical. When you operate from this space of not trying, when you live from your essential nature rather than your constructed identity, life becomes effortless. Not easy. There's a crucial difference that will change everything for you. Easy means no challenges, no difficulties, no growth. But effortless? Effortless means no resistance to what is. It means you respond to life's waves instead of being crashed by them. You act from wholeness instead of the desperate neediness of an incomplete self trying to complete itself through external circumstances. People will begin to notice something different about you, something they can't quite name or capture in words. You'll carry this quality of presence, of being so completely here, so utterly available to this moment, that you're not trying to be anywhere else, not in the past rehearsing old wounds, not in the future chasing fantasies of how life should be. I discovered this backwards, through beautiful failures. The moment I stopped trying to be a compelling speaker, my words began to carry power. Not the power of performance, but the power of truth spoken from silence. When I stopped trying to help people, stopped needing to fix or save or improve anyone, I became genuinely helpful, a clear mirror reflecting their own wholeness back to them. When I stopped trying to be spiritual, stopped collecting experiences and insights like spiritual trophies, I finally touched something sacred. Not sacred as separate from ordinary life, but sacred as the very essence of ordinary life when seen with clear eyes. Because you see, when you're not performing your identity, when you're not maintaining the exhausting theater of being someone, you're finally free to respond authentically to whatever life presents. You become like water, taking the shape of whatever container you're in, while never losing your essential nature. This is the practical mystery. By becoming no one, you become available to be exactly who each moment needs you to be. Now, here's the part that might disturb you. The truth that will either awaken you or send you running back to the familiar prison of your constructed self. Most of what you call your life, the endless projects, the constant becoming, the perpetual self-improvement, is actually just elaborate, sophisticated avoidance of this devastating simplicity. Your ambitious goals that keep you forever chasing tomorrow, your spiritual practices that promise future enlightenment, your relationship dramas that keep you distracted from your own completeness, your career stress that convinces you your worth depends on external validation. Much of it, beloved, is just exquisitely crafted ways to avoid the profound, terrifying ordinariness of your true nature. We stay frantically busy becoming someone, anyone, because sitting still as no one feels like death to the ego. The ego would rather suffer familiarly than surrender into the unknown vastness of what you actually are. But that death, that dissolution of everything you think you are, it's not your death. It's the death of everything that was never authentically you to begin with. Every mask, every performance, every borrowed identity you've been wearing like ill-fitting clothes. And on the other side of that sacred dying, life, real life. Not the exhausting performance of life, but the effortless, spontaneous being of life itself. Pure, undefended, gloriously ordinary existence. The caterpillar doesn't become the butterfly by trying harder to be a caterpillar. So I invite you, with all the love in my heart, to conduct the most radical experiment of your life. Just for today, not forever, not as another spiritual practice to master. Simply for today, stop trying to be anyone at all. Don't try to be spiritual or enlightened. Don't try to be successful or impressive. Don't try to be happy or positive. Don't even try to be good or kind. Just be. Simply, purely, without agenda or destination. Notice what remains when you're not maintaining any image of yourself. Notice what's vibrantly alive here when you're not frantically going anywhere, becoming anything, proving everything. You might discover the most shocking truth. Who you are when you're not trying to be anyone is who you've always been underneath all the beautiful, exhausting trying. The one who was here before you learned you weren't enough. The one who will remain when all the stories fade. You might find that zero isn't empty. It's pregnant with infinite possibility, alive with the very source of all becoming. Because you see, beloved, you're not someone trying to become no one. You're the eternal no one who has been dreaming of being someone. And when you remember this, when you really remember, you're free. You're already what you're seeking. You always have been. Welcome home to yourself. The seeking is over. The being begins now.